I am a white, male Republican. I believed up until recently that I was not a racist or a white supremacist. The fact is, I now believe that I have helped deny generations of black and brown men and women an education. And if you believe, like me, that education is human emancipation, my actions have resulted in far worse racist results than denying someone or restricting someone's right to vote. Let's look at 2 points of evidence. During the 1998 legislative session, I worked for the House Republican Caucus in Michigan. In that role, we passed a big set of school safety legislation that required the full expulsion of a student who was caught bringing a knife or a gun or fighting on campus. All of those things sound like school safety is paramount. But what I didn't learn until later that we know now is that black students tend to get in trouble more than white students for less infractions. And when they do get in trouble, they have a higher propensity of being expelled from school. And so I shepherded, created, crafted, passed, implemented, encouraged people to support legislation that ultimately led to probably thousands of young black men being expelled from schools in Michigan and down to a life that might have caused problems, could have led to prison, could have led to drug abuse, could have led to all sorts of things, and denying them ultimately with an education and access to a society. Almost a decade later, I was a state policy consultant for Achieving the Dream. Doesn't that sound ambitious and hopeful? Well, as part of Achieving the Dream, one of our goals was to encourage states to adopt a standardized test and a cut score for admission to programs in post-secondary education to determine whether or not you would take college credit courses or you would go into developmental ed. Well, what we know now is that those types of tests and those cut scores have eliminated thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of African American and Latinx students from being able to pursue a post-secondary education, leaving them really with little education, no credential, and a lot of debt. Bull Connor would be proud. George Wallace could never have imagined a program that would have eliminated education for African Americans to that extent that we did and that I worked on supporting. So far too recently, I've realized that my white perspective was blinding me to the damage I was causing helping create policy. Policy that exacerbates gaps in educational attainment. I began to realize that policies and programs and organizations that are not built on a foundation of equity ultimately lead to inequitable results. The data revealed time and again, from healthcare to criminal justice to education, inequitable outcomes time and time again. I quit smoking about 20 years ago. I used to love smoking. I loved it. Once I realized it was killing me and indirectly killing my children and embarrassing me in front of my children, I quit. But today I can still smell it in the air. I can smell it on a smoker's hands, smell it when they slip back into the elevator after a quick smoke after lunch. And once I smell it, I'm like a bloodhound. I can't get that smell out of my head. It smells delicious. It smells nauseating. And so now that my eyes have been opened to my racism, my white supremacy, I can see it in policy. I can see it in budgets. I can see it in practice that is being implemented. And I can smell it on the people that create it, that support it, that endorse it as they move through the work. Bringing the experiment forward to modern times, I don't believe that leaders in academia today who stop a black or brown student's course from transferring from a community college to their university believe that they are racist. They are simply ensuring the academic integrity of their institution because they don't believe the course taught at the community college, which was probably taught by a peer who most likely was a peer of color, can meet the rigorous standards of their institution, which is more than likely a predominantly white institution. Can you see that? Can you smell that? So white people really need to ask ourselves, how are we using our privilege? How are we using our power and whiteness to stop the forward progress of others? The fact that I am here today speaking my truth means there's hope. Now I can see that we must build policy and programs and organizations with equity as the mortar to ensure that outcomes serve all Americans. And while I continue to smell my racism on me through my acts, the smell is fading to memory, and I'm coming alive.